I got the music in me, knew it simply had to be my destiny. I'm blessed to be the best within my CNHEND. Please believe not Ninja Gaiden. I'm not the guy to fight with them lightning. They come in dumb and I leave them enlightened.
What's up, my wizards? Dev from Strictly Better down there. We got decks and ish. Case in point, actually, the last deck that we did, I asked you in the comments, tell me what deck you'd like to see more, and definitely it was tied between Mono Black Control, surprisingly, honestly, I can't wait to do that deck, and Eldrazi Displacer Infinite Combo, which a lot of you haven't heard of this, you don't know what the combo is outside of Displacer, and so I kind of can't wait to explain that either. Let's try it out. Well, first of all, like I said, I'm going to explain this combo. That's important so that you know what the heck I'm talking about as we move forward through this video here. First of all, let's just say that you have an Eldrazi Displacer and a Zulaport Cutthroat out. Congratulations, that's 2/3 of the combo, and it's not even hard to get that. They curve into one another, so yeah, you can totally do that. What you need to do now is play a Brood Monitor. That will give you 3 Eldrazi Scion tokens right there on your battlefield there. What you do, you sacrifice those Eldrazi Scion tokens for 3 colorless mana. That will make your opponent lose 3 life and you'll gain 3 thanks to Zulaport Cutthroat. You'll use the 3 colorless mana that you just got from sacking the Scion tokens to activate Eldrazi Displacer's ability, targeting the Brood Monitor that you just played. That will blink the Brood Monitor. He'll leave play, he'll come right back into play tapped, and you'll get 3 Eldrazi Scion tokens. What do we do with those? We sack them for 3 colorless mana. That will make our opponent lose 3 life. We'll gain 3 life. Then we'll use that colorless mana to activate Eldrazi Displacer, blinking our Brood Monitor. He'll come right back into play, give us 3 Eldrazi Scion tokens, which we then sacrifice for 3 colorless mana. That will make them take 3, and we will gain 3. We use that colorless mana to target the Brood Monitor. See what I mean? That easy. Infinite combo, goes forever, and as soon as you drop the monitor, you win the game, more or less. So, as far as applying this to a deck, what exactly are we supposed to even do here? Well, as far as the numbers go, in either of the decks I'll show you today, I'd probably play 3 Eldrazi Displacer, 4 Zulaport Cutthroat, and 2 Brood Monitor. Brood Monitor is a 6-drop. It's highly likely that you'll draw into it, especially considering both decks we're playing have ways of drawing cards. So I wouldn't play too many copies of Monitor, especially considering both decks I'm going to show you can easily win without Brood Monitor. Not that big of a problem. But Zulaport Cutthroat, pretty important to both decks, and Displacer is just good. You don't want to draw it all day because it doesn't really matter in multiples at all. So that's the numbers I'd play there. Now, as far as the first deck I'm going to show you, my idea initially was a sort of a Eldrazi Aristocrats kind of build, mostly because of the power of a card like Catacomb Sifter. Catacomb Sifter has good synergy with Eldrazi Displacer. Not only when it comes into play will you get the Scion token that allows you to sacrifice and have the mana available to activate Eldrazi Displacer. That's important. But if we have a colorless mana available to us in our mana base at the time, then we can always blink the Catacomb Sifter with the Eldrazi Displacer and get a token every time we do that. It's actually good to be able to create even maybe multiple creatures every single turn. That's not bad at all. And we're also able to scry. That ain't half bad either. As far as other things that produce Eldrazi Scion tokens and have good synergy in a deck idea like this, I'd probably play 4 Blister Pod and 3 Carrier Thrall. Mostly because they're really good early game blockers. They produce when they die an Eldrazi Scion token that'll again help us activate the Eldrazi Displacer, which is more important than you can possibly imagine. And since we're playing something like 11 creatures that create Eldrazi Scion tokens when they either enter the battlefield or die, it'll also help us get to that Brood Monitor quicker if we need to do that. We're going to play 4 Nantuko Husk in this deck. It's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, it's Aristocrats. There's 4 Nantuko Husk. We have to have a way of killing our creatures when we want to kill our creatures. Sort of a maybe surprise inclusion. I'm going to play 4 copies of Elvish Visionary in the deck. All of the 4-color rally decks play 4 Elvish Visionary, and I totally see why. Elvish Visionary is a great early game blocker that replaces itself with a card in your hand, allowing us to dig a little bit quicker into the deck. And this is especially good with something like Eldrazi Displacer. Again, every single turn we can draw an extra card if we have the mana, which is actually pretty darn good. It's just a great option to have. And finally, for the creatures in the deck, 4 copies of Siege Rhino. Siege Rhino is just, again, a hilarious thing to blink in and out of play with Eldrazi Displacer, and it's amazingly budget right now, Siege Rhino is, so I'd go with it for the next few months. Siege Rhino is just obviously, you drain 6 every turn, seems pretty freaking good to me, especially on a huge body, so Yeah, 4 Sea Triumph, do it. And the only spell I'm going to play in the deck as far as this one goes is 3 Rally the Ancestors. Look, it's a rally deck. Out of nowhere. Notice that I'm not playing Collected Company in the deck. I think that not many of our creatures do stuff when they enter the battlefield, which is usually a huge part of Collected Company. Not only that, but we can whiff on Siege Rhino and Brood Monitors. I'm just like, altogether, I'm just really not into it. But I am into Rally the Ancestors. We play at least 3 of these, because we're playing, you know, basic Aristocrat strategy. We could play 4 Rally, but I just don't think it's as important as it is to the dedicated Rally deck. But still very, very important, you know. This is sort of usually going to be the coup de grace. The thing that ends the game is going to be Rally the Ancestors for the most part. Or we could always do sort of a long game value with Eldrazi Displacer, or we could always draw a Brood Monitor and just end the game right there. So I like the flexibility of this deck. It's able to end the game in many different ways. I'm going to show you my other idea here, and then I'll sort of give you the land base, but for both decks. But you could also do Displacer Elves. Bear with me here. I'm going to play the same amount of combo pieces as I did in the Eldrazi Aristocrats deck. You know, I'm going to play 3 copies of Displacer, 4 Cutthroat, and 2 Brood Monitor. Cutthroat is really good in an Elves deck, it turns out. You don't have to have an mtgo Husk to make it a good card. Cutthroat is just good, and it goes with the combo, so we have to play it. But as far as Elves go, what do we do? I think there are actually 2 distinct advantages to playing Elves in this combo deck. First of all, we can play mana ramping Elves to help us get to that Brood Monitor a little bit faster if that's what we need to do. So in this deck, I'm going to play 4 copies of Leaf Gilder and 2 copies of Beastcaller Savant. I want at least 6 mana ramping sources that help us play anything. You know, in the case of Beastcaller Savant, just creatures, but that's fine if we're trying to get specifically to Brood Monitor. The other advantage is that, honestly, we're looking for really good end of the battlefield effects because of Eldrazi Displacer. And Elves have, like, all the really good ones right now. We can play 4 copies of Elvish Visionary. That'll help us draw cards. We can play 4 copies of Dwynen's Elite. That'll help us get creatures. And obviously, we can play 4 copies of Shaman of the Pack, which is absolutely gross to just displace once a turn, you know. The cool thing is you can, like, just keep targeting Dwynen's Elite with your Eldrazi Displacer, get a new guy every turn, you know, get another 1/1 token every turn, until you eventually draw into your Shaman of the Pack, and that will allow you to do a bunch of damage if you've been able to hang on to any of those tokens. That's happened a few times, actually, in testing the deck. And also, of course, if you got an Elvish Visionary out, you can just draw a bunch of cards until you get to the Shaman of the Pack. So that's good too. Another elf that I want to play, sort of just because we're playing Eldrazi Displacer, is I want to play 1, but probably even 2 copies of Guiltleaf Winnower in the deck. Just amazing with Eldrazi Displacer. There's so many things that this thing takes out, other than even Siege Rhino. Siege Rhino, Jace, Den Protector, Tassiger, you know, there's a lot of really important creatures in the format that this card can take out, and it's just super sick to have a Displacer out and this thing. So yes, I guess, long story short, yes. As far as the spells go, I'm going to again play 3 copies of Rally the Ancestors, just because all of these elves are amazing to rally into play, you know. Even if we're not playing like mtgo Husk or anything, and yes, we're playing Zulaport Cutthroats, we can do this during our opponent's combat step, get our guys back, and this honestly is what Aristocrats does a lot anyway, you know. We can play the rally during our opponent's combat step, block some stuff. We don't care if our guys die. As a matter of fact, we want our guys to die in combat if we played a rally. All the triggers from Zulaport Cutthroat will go off, but even if you don't have a Cutthroat out, you'll still get a bunch of these elf triggers. You'll draw a card, you'll get an extra guy, which doesn't exile at the end of the turn. You'll get a Shaman of the Pack, which is just freaking amazing off of Rally the Ancestors. And sometimes all we need to finish the game out. So in this case, again, we can finish the game out very, very quickly and in multiple ways, which is always important. In this deck, I am going to play 3 copies of Collected Company because of all these amazing enter the battlefield triggers that we have. We have a ton of them, and there's fewer cards to whiff on in this version of the deck. So I'd probably play Collected Company, and I'll sandwich in a Murderous Cut to finish it off, just because I want a little bit more removal and interaction, for that matter, than just Guiltleaf Winnower, you know. So I'd probably play at least the 1 Murderous Cut. In case you're wondering, here's the land base for both budget decks, really. Eldrazi Aristocrats, I've got 25 lands. The Elves deck, I've got 24. All I would do is cut a swamp from this mana base to to fit into the Elves mana base. That's it. That's all I do. But I do want to make a couple of points about this. We're obviously playing 4 copies of these 2 pain lands. That's 8 pain lands. So that we can more easily activate Eldrazi Displacer. I think that's very important. And the only other real points I'll make is that the Evolving Wilds are in there, not only to fuel Delve in this budget deck, but also because we can go get the 1 copy of Wastes, again helping us activate Eldrazi Displacer. The only other thing I'll touch on here is that if you had a couple of bucks, you could just make like an Abzan mid-range Displacer deck, and you wouldn't even have to have the combo. Abzan has so many good things, like obviously Siege Rhino, Wingmate Rock right now. You could even, in a less dedicated sort of thematic build, just a good stuff build, like an Abzan mid-range, obviously, you can play Thought-Knot Seer and fairly reliably with the mana base that we're looking at here. And Thought-Knot Seer is absolutely dumb to just displace over and over. You also, though, get access to a couple of weird cards in Green Warden of Mirasa, which is probably amazing to displace over and over. In Linvala. Linvala seems utterly broken with the Eldrazi Displacer. Anytime you go under life, and less life than them, you just gain 5. Anytime you have a few creatures on the board, just have a 3/3 flyer. Seems fine to me. Linvala seems like fairly dumb already, but just broken with Displacer. Well, I'm pretty sure I've got it all out of my system. Let me know how you felt about these ideas, how you would revise them or change anything. Anything I left out, I'm always interested in that. Just do the YouTube stuff. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll be at you next time with Mono Black Control, but as always, let me know what you'd like to see. I'm Deb from Strictly Better MTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.